I've learned in the many years that I've been in practice that bad things can happen to good people. And um, one of the most difficult things for clients of mine when they're faced with financial distress is making a decision on whether or not bankruptcy is a correct choice. The word bankruptcy is very negative. In our society, as Americans, we value our life success almost always on our ability to have financial resources that demonstrate that we've made good choices. People who have filed bankruptcy tend to be demonized, and what I've discovered is that almost all the time, most of the time, probably 90% of the time that I've dealt with people who've had to file bankruptcy, it's not because they were bad financial managers. It's not because they spent foolishly. It's not because they spent more than they could afford, but because something really bad and catastrophic happened in their life. It was the unexpected loss of a job. It was the unexpected health crisis. The problem compounds because people in that situation, I found, will tend to think, well, all right, I've had this problem. I will, use my savings as long as I need to until I go back to work or until my problem is fixed and I can get it solved. Sometimes those resources are exhausted and people still hang on to hope, and they may charge things with the expectation that they're going to be able to pay this money back and get back on track. And ultimately, by the time they get to see me, they're at a point where that just simply, the reality finally sinks in that's probably not going to happen. The new reality is that the income is going to be different than it was, and now there are expenses that simply cannot be repaid. There's just not enough money to do that. And so I try to encourage people that bankruptcy, whether it's a Chapter 7 or 13, is intended by Congress for people to start over. It's intended for society to share the burden of those unexpected catastrophes that happen to individuals, where people can start over and start over with something so that they can rebuild their lives financially. Chapter 7 is really designed for people who just need to eliminate debts and start over with a clean slate. They don't have the resources to put together a repayment plan. They usually are not at risk of foreclosure or repossession. They just need to eliminate debt and start over. Chapter 13 is a little bit different. It's designed for people who need assistance in restructuring payments so that they, if they have a house in foreclosure, they can repay past due amounts over a period of time and get back on track. A typical example for 13 is somebody who has lost income and they've returned to the workplace and they just need help getting back on track. Whereas Chapter 7 is more of a situation where people just simply have to start over and with a completely different lifestyle than they've had before. Bottom line is that the reason people have debt is because they have demonstrated a lifetime of responsibility, and it's very difficult for people to finally come to that realization because they have generally lived their lives in a very responsible way. But it is a tool, it's a resource that's available for people who want a fresh start, who need a fresh start, who can make a new life with a fresh start, and it's an available resource for them.